The 70s, it could be some late day showers and storms. And for Friday, variable clouds and sun, temperatures about 73. Forecast being brought to you by Needham Coin and Jewelry Buyers, located at 317 Chestnut Street in Needham. They are the most highly recommended place to sell your coins, jewelry, gold, silver, and historical items. Call them at 774-766-3050. That's my forecast. I'm Marc Rosenthal.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
You're locked into Money Matters Radio, 1120 AM WBNW. This is the Money Matters Radio Network, WBNW 1120 AM and W275CM FM, Concord, Boston. The Money Matters Radio Network.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Jake Auchincloss are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
When a heart stops, the clock starts. You are the first responder until help arrives. In that moment, 4 minutes equals brain damage. 6 minutes equals too late in an emergency. The first responder is you. We need you. Will you be ready? Learn CPR. Visit heart.org/nation. That's heart.org/nation.
I was 24 when I had a stroke.
I was 35 when I suffered a heart attack.
I was 46.
I was 62.
It's a fact. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death in women.
But we can fight against our #1 killer.
Talk to your doctor about your risk factors.
Know your family history.
Learn the warning signs and symptoms.
Together,
let's go red for women.
Visit goredforwomen.org to learn more.
As a busy mom, my to-do list is full.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
Visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
When it comes to estate planning, many families focus on taxes, but understanding how your family will receive the assets you leave behind is just as important. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law and have a new guide out called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. The guide explains decisions that may be problematic, such as adding a child as a joint donor on a real estate property, which could expose your assets to creditors or a possible divorce. You'll also learn how trusts can be used to help protect your assets and control when your beneficiaries receive their inheritance. Call 866-848-5699 right now and ask for your free guide called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. That's 866-848-5699. Or request the guide online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, this is Chuck and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group, and we've got a guide out this month titled Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. And really, Mike, we're talking about, a set of documents that someone needs in the event that something really bad happens to them. And one of the questions that family members and friends always ask is, who should I call if that happens? And this binder should have that information in it.
Yeah, it's designed to be that one-stop shopping of, hey, what do I go for? Any number of different things that could happen, right? I mean, it could be an accident that lands me in the hospital. It could, unfortunately, be my passing. But you want a consolidated place where loved ones can go to try and find, hey, what are my first points of contact that I should make?
What are those points of contact that should make their way into this binder?
Well, I think importantly, tax preparation, estate planning, and financial advice are three of the big ones that I can think of off the top of my head. The problem is who does that and how spread out it is varies dramatically person to person, right?
Sure.
If I have 5 different bank accounts for different things, that is going to be more complicated than if I have a single bank account at a single place and then an investment advisor that's overseeing all of the investments. But again, your results could vary.
Folks, the guide this month is titled Building Your Emergency Financial Binder, and it has all this information and more in it to make sure that you are leaving a comprehensive guide for what happens if you're going through an emergency. Way to get this guide? Call 800-393-4001, or you can also request it at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Marc Fandetti. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Marc Fandetti.
Chuck, Mark, and Tucker with you, and we kick things off today with not really much of anything, quite honestly. Everyone wants to know what's happening with the situation in the Middle East, and the honest answer is no one knows anything. You've got, continued differing reports from not just, the U.S. and Iranian sides, but from Pakistani mediators, from other parties in the region. And so I think, as I've said since this started, if you want to save yourself an awful lot of headache, the best thing to do is not pay attention to any of that noise and instead focus on what is actually happening as far as transits through the Strait of Hormuz, because that's ultimately what's going to determine when oil can start being pumped again and will determine the economic impact. Now, the interesting thing, if you want to look at, kind of a tale of, kind of two narratives within this market, for the first 4 weeks of the conflict, you had a consistent, steady message conveyed by markets, which was, as long as oil prices go up, stocks are going to move down. That was pretty darn consistent through end of March 27th, March 30th, like in that range. And the other consistent thing was, as long as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, oil prices are going to move up. So the simple math for that first 4 weeks was Hormuz closed, stocks down. The interesting thing that has changed since March 30th is Hormuz remains closed, but markets have moved up, and oil has moved sideways to slightly down. And I think the question that's worth asking is not, hey, is a deal going to be signed Thursday? None of us have any idea, unless you're actually plugged into negotiations, which, Tucker, are you involved in the U.S.-Iranian negotiations?
No.
You didn't get the call?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not
Mark,
yet.
what about you?
I'm surprised neither one of us have been, because it's been amateur hour to this point.
Mark, I think you're big in Islamabad.
I think we're I'd certainly fit in physically.
You were the mayor back in the day, right?
I think I do a decent job as a Far East mayor.
Mayor of Islamabad?
So, but your bigger point is that unless you're an insider, you don't know, right?
You don't. But I do think it's interesting that what worked for the first 4 months or 4 weeks was Hormuz closed, oil up, stocks down. And for the last 2 weeks now, it's Hormuz closed, oil sideways to slightly down, stocks way up.
Yeah.
And so the question is, well, what does this mean? And I think there's a very simple way to read this and read through it, in that everyone and their grandmother knows at this point that the energy disruption is going to get worse over the next 2 months. Yeah. We know that May and June are going to be a train wreck for energy markets around the world. We can, debate is the U.S. going to be better off? Of course we will be, because of, a number of different factors. But the simple fact is that everyone knows that energy markets are going to be a mess through Memorial Day at this point. What the market is saying, what the market is telling you is, as long as that is pretty close to the resolution of this and the resumption of flows can resume sometime, in the next several weeks, that makes that air pocket 60 days instead of, 160 days. Okay, we can get through this. Because markets aren't pricing themselves based on what economic activity is going to be in June. Markets are pricing, okay, what's your earnings growth going to be 8, 12, 24 months out? That's how markets price things in. And so what the stock market is attempting to do right now, and it might be right, it might be wrong, this is the thing with these, you don't know until after the fact, but the market is attempting to say, hey, the sides have gotten closer in negotiations from what we can understand, and so there's a higher chance of a resolution in the next 30 days that would make this really a short-term, really uncomfortable situation, but still a short-term one, and as such, we're going to look through that. And that's a reasonable case for markets to make.
Absolutely.
It's also a reasonable case if you disagree. The great thing about markets is that you can put your money where your mouth is and say, I disagree, and here's how I'm going to express that. And I don't know who's going to end up being right on this. It could be something where there is a resolution that comes through in the next couple weeks. It could be something where we're still sitting here at Memorial Day with no meaningful progress. I don't know, because I'm not there. But ultimately, the only things that I think undermine this market move are, hey, can the conflict not be resolved? Is there a problem that you can't resolve that prevents Hormuz from opening? Or the corollary to that is, hey, do central banks freak the heck out about this and start hiking rates like they did back in 22?
That's the big risk.
The latter is tough for me to get to right now based on what we're seeing and hearing from most central banks. And furthermore, even if you did have central bank action, I would think it's pretty unlikely it's to the magnitude that you saw in 2022. 2022, in the early part of 23, the Fed hiked by 500 basis points. Is anyone calling for the Fed to take interest rates to 7.5 right now?
Well, real rates right now are close to 0, with inflation at a little over 3, if you assume that's what we're tracking now.
Sure.
And Fed funds being at 3.5. So the question is, how high do they feel they need to get the real rate of interest to, say, squash inflation expectations, which have perked up?
But it's a tough putt.
I don't think we're going to 600 on. Excuse me, go ahead.
It's a tough putt to be you're going to get the Fed funds rate to 7.5. No, you could make a case where, hey, if the Fed thinks and if the data shows that the inflationary impact is going to be longer and higher, and all of a sudden you've got core at 4 and headline at 5 for 9 months.
Yeah.
Okay, does the Fed have to move up by 100, 150 bips?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Sure, there's a case to be made there, but that still is nowhere near the magnitude of impact, and this is part of the reason why.
That's crazy.
If you're trying to make a direct comparison to 2022, it's really hard to, because it's a fundamentally different set of inputs that
Keep
you're
your eye
going
on the real
in
rate,
here.
Chuck. I mean, as you suggest, it's hard to get there. Real rates right now, this is a problem. I don't know if it'll be a problem in 2 months, but real rates have gone 0 to maybe even a little bit negative, depending on how much inflation perks up. That's dangerous, because even if the Fed does nothing, it's easing policy. It's got to stay ahead of that. Ideally, increase rates 1-for-1 with underlying inflation. We just don't know, because of all the factors you cited, how much underlying inflation is going to go up here.
The other thing that I'll say on this that I just think is really interesting, like if you are a participant in markets, whether you're a trader, a long-term investor, whatever it might be, you got to remember that ultimately what matters when you are investing or trading is not being right. It's making money. And I know that sounds like, well, Chuck, aren't those the same things? When you're right, you make money? Well, not necessarily. We've talked about plenty of instances where you can be completely like dead on in terms of, oh, here's what the impact of this is going to be. And you can still lose money because markets move in a different way.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's possible to hold multiple views at the same time, where you can say, look, I might not think this is going to resolve quickly, but the market's telling me one thing, and I can't let myself just get butchered in the market because it's moving against me. You've got to reconcile those two things and understand what they mean. Now, if you're a long-term investor, it's also generally something where, hey, if you're trying to trade one-off macroeconomic events as a long-term investor who doesn't usually do that, the best thing generally is to not do that. Continue to not do it, because you don't have an edge. You might get lucky on a trade. You might get lucky on two. Ultimately, you're playing against professionals that do this all day, every day, and they're usually better at it than you are.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, let's talk about this. What we've seen in markets the last couple of weeks, just in terms of the gains in equity markets. They've been really robust, and can they continue here?
Remember, you can watch the show live every day on our YouTube page. We've got market updates and breaking business news all morning long, plus a full archive of all our show's content. It's all there with the click of a button at youtube.com/The Financial Exchange Show.
Organization can make a big difference when life takes an unexpected turn. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Having your most important information all in one place may help the people you trust handle critical financial or legal decisions if a crisis occurs. We've written a new guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. In it, we offer strategies that can help you coordinate the most vital details of your life, including key contacts, legal documents, and property information. Our goal is to provide you with a clear plan for the people you trust if they ever need to help manage a life-altering situation. Call 800-393-4001 right now and ask for your free guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. When it comes to estate planning, many families focus on taxes, but understanding how your family will receive the assets you leave behind is just as important. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law and have a new guide out called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. The guide explains decisions that may be problematic, such as adding a child as a joint donor on a real estate property, which could expose your assets to creditors or a possible divorce. You'll also learn how trusts can be used to help protect your assets and control when your beneficiaries receive their inheritance. Call 866-848-5699 right now and ask for your free guide called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. That's 866-848-5699. Or request the guide online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive. Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. Every walker who joins HeartWalk means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Find your local Heart Walk at heartwalk.org.
Let's talk LDL. AKA bad cholesterol. The higher your LDL cholesterol, the higher your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Your health matters. Know your number. Talk to your doctor and get your cholesterol checked. And learn how to help lower your LDL bad cholesterol. Because your health is in your hands. Find out more at heart.org/LDL.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative William Keating are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
Breaking business news as it happens, only here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
The Financial Exchange streams live every day on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube page and follow market activity all morning long. Only here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Just search the Financial Exchange on YouTube and be sure to hit that subscribe button.
Does that mean I should talk now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Good. Got it. So, really impressive run for stocks, and we talked in the last segment about just, what we've seen now. But in particular, what you're seeing in the NASDAQ index is the NASDAQ has not had a down day since March 30th now. So we're getting, up to some of the things like when you start seeing like, hey, Index X had, 10 days in a row positive. Usually that's where things start to be like, okay, like how much further can this really go? Not long term, but just, short term. It's like you just don't go up every day in perpetuity. But we're also at a situation where all your major indices right now are back to knocking on the doors of all-time highs. The NASDAQ is about 1% off all-time highs right now. The S&P 500 is only 1/3% off all-time highs. And you've got the Dow about 3% off all-time highs, just because this rally has been led more by tech and the stuff that had kind of gotten beaten up the last few months than anything else. And the natural inclination is to say, well, like with all, we're back to all-time highs or pretty close to it, and there's all this other stuff that's wrong. That doesn't feel right. And that's possible. Like, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I do just want to present a counterpoint to it in terms of, look, we talk about how markets can correct in two ways. They can correct through time or through price. In the last 3 to 6 months, we've kind of gone through both. Markets as a whole are pretty much, again, this is kind of the wild thing. Like you take a look at the NASDAQ just as an example. It's the same place it was at on October 27th. It's been 6 months almost, and the NASDAQ has not gone anywhere. And yet the NASDAQ has gone to a lot of different places. It actually fell more than 10% at the bottom on March 30th. And so like you had this correction through price that now has turned into a correction in time. And here's the reason why time can be a valid, correction factor or way to view this. During the time that we have, during that time that has elapsed, when you take a look at forward earnings projections, just as an example, like you go and you say, okay, where were forward earnings projections back in, October of last year, just as an example. And S&P 500 forward earning projections back then were coming in somewhere in the ballpark of $300 per, I know it's not share because you can't own a share of the S&P, but somewhere in the ballpark of like $300 to $305 for the next 12 months. When you sit and look at it right now, we are, forward earnings projections are at $339. So you're in the same place that the S&P was in 6 months ago. But forward earnings projections are up 10% just because of the passage of time, and one old quarter falls off those and a new one comes in. And so on a valuation basis, I'm not saying this is cheap, so don't hear that. But we spent most of last year with the market saying, hey, I'm cool with slapping a 22x multiple on S&P 500 forward earnings. Today, because of that forward earnings growth, market's only slapping a 20x multiple on. A little north of that, like 20.5. To get back to that 22x multiple, you're about 7% higher from here. That takes you to 7,500 on the S&P. I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but what I am saying is ultimately, if you buy those forward earnings projections and you were comfortable slapping a 22x multiple on stocks last year, again, there's your path to further growth in the S&P 500. Now, the path to further destruction from here is Hormuz remains closed for longer than, the next 2 to 4 weeks, and markets realize that and say, oh, this is not just going to be a little 2-month blip of energy supply disruption. This is going to be something longer, and that has a bigger and more lasting impact on the global economy. Yes, the market could wake up and realize that too. But right now, I'm just trying to present both cases, not because I think either is right, but if you wake up in the morning and consistently say, man, how could the market be this high? Everything's so bad. I heard people saying that all through the 2010s, and stocks did fantastically then, because the market doesn't care whether or not you're right. And that's kind of the point that I'll make. Now, this may all fall apart. Again, there's a perfectly reasonable case that, hey, the market is pricing in too optimistic a scenario. Okay, if that's the case, figure out how you want to express that in markets and bet against it if you really think that, that's your thing. Because that's what markets do. They let you express that view of, is price right or wrong?
It doesn't feel wrong that valuation multiples are a little lower because the range of outcomes is arguably a little wider, particularly on the downside.
Sure.
So it feels rational.
It does. It does. But it's also reasonable where, let's say that you get a comprehensive resolution to this Middle East situation in the next week or two. What's there stopping you from going back to 22x forward earnings?
If you think all else is equal, sure, yeah. If you're back to the world as it was 2 months ago.
I'm not saying you are or aren't, but there's a reasonable
there's
case.
a way to, we can explain anything away, but yeah, sure, of course, yes.
So I think this is, again, if you're sitting here wondering hey, my gas prices are up and, I'm nervous about this and that and how could stocks still be where they are previously? I'm just trying to explain that. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's one possible interpretation of what we're seeing in markets right now. Let's see. We do have jet fuel is kind of one of the major problems that we're running into worldwide as a result of this. In the United States, it's the cost. In Europe, we're getting to the point now where you have CEOs of major, airlines saying, hey, the jet fuel situation is uncertain and we're not sure what operations look like, in the future. This was, there was a quote from the Ryanair CEO a little while ago to that effect this morning. I want to make sure that I get it right just so that I give you the exact quote. It's here somewhere. Hang on. It's here somewhere. Okay, I can't find it, but it was here somewhere. But basically, it was look, the jet fuel situation is fluid, and we're trying to, figure it out. So, again, I think ultimately we're at the point now where you're starting to see issues. I have a buddy who lives over in Italy, and he let me know that, hey, they got gas stations that are, running out of diesel in particular right now, and it's becoming a problem. Let's take a quick break. When we return, It's Wall Street Watch, and Todd Lutzke joins us for Ask Todd.
Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @TFE Show. Breaking business news is always first, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Lori Trahan are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women,
taking the lives of 1 in 3.
That's more than all forms of cancer combined.
For too long, heart disease and stroke have taken the lives of the women we love.
But we're not giving up.
Because we have something better.
Stronger, more powerful.
We have each other.
When we come together and go red,
the more power we have against our greatest health threat.
Visit goredforwomen.org today to learn more.
Sudden family emergencies can create confusion, especially when important information is scattered across different accounts. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. When something unexpected happens, loved ones may need quick access to legal documents or financial accounts that could affect your future. Our brand new guide is called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. It'll help you learn how to organize the information your family may need one day. Everything from emergency contacts and identification documents to bank accounts and retirement plans. The goal is to create one clear roadmap so that people you trust can quickly find what they need if a crisis occurs. Call 800-393-4001 and request your free guide, Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001 or request the guide online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Let's talk LDL. AKA bad cholesterol. The higher your LDL cholesterol, the higher your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Your health matters. Know your number. Talk to your doctor and get your cholesterol checked. And learn how to help lower your LDL bad cholesterol. Because your health is in your hands. Find out more at heart.org/LDL.
When a heart stops, the clock starts. You are the first responder until help arrives. In that moment, 4 minutes equals brain damage. 6 minutes equals too late in an emergency. The first responder is you. We need you. Will you be ready? Learn CPR. Visit heart.org/nation. That's heart.org/nation.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange quick tip of the day. And today we're talking about your brand new guide, Todd, how to leave assets to your beneficiaries. Todd, how can you ensure that your kids' inheritance can be protected from future divorces?
Well, estate planning, as you know, does things like avoid probate, protect assets from nursing homes, and reduce taxes. But you know what? The family behind the estate plan can be more important. And so the trusts live on after you die, and you can have language in there that divides the assets to the children, but doesn't just pay it out, right? It holds it in trust for them and allows them to be trustee, but just not take it. In order to get it, they have an independent trustee that can say yes or no. And that way, by not owning the asset, if they get divorced down the line after you're dead, and the other side says, hey, I want half of what's in that trust, you're going to say, that's great, but you have to ask the independent trustee. So it's now not going to be available to you. And more than just the ability to say no, it's the fact that you don't own it. So if you don't own it, it's not a marital asset to begin with, so it should not be even subject to the divorce. So learning how your trust works after you die can oftentimes be more important than when you're living, and it does more for you after you die than when you're living sometimes.
The estate planning experts at Cushing & Dolan have been helping families like yours for more than 30 years, and they've written a brand new guide called How to Leave Assets to Your Beneficiaries. To get your free copy of this comprehensive guide that will help you determine the best way to leave assets to your family, family, simply call 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699, or you can request it from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. Time now for Wall Street Watch, tracking the stocks, the data, and the headlines driving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
After yesterday's rally driven by potential peace deal optimism, markets today are mixed as traders react to more first quarter bank earnings. Right now, the Dow's down 0.25%, S&P 500 up about 0.33%, NASDAQ up over 0.8% or 192 points. Russell 2000 is flat. 10-year Treasury yield up 1 basis point at 4.274%, and oil down about 0.5%, trading at $90 a barrel. Bank of America reported better than expected first quarter results lifted by equity sales and trading. CEO Brian Moynihan said the bank saw healthy client activity, including solid consumer spending, indicating a resilient American economy. That stock up over 1.5%. Meanwhile, Morgan Stanley shares are jumping over 5% after the firm posted impressive first quarter results as trading exceeding expectations. Elsewhere, Broadcom announced an expanded partnership with Meta to provide the Facebook parent company with more custom AI chips. Broadcom up by 3%. Snap shares are up 7% after the company announced plans to lay off up to 16% of its workforce. And in a wild move, struggling footwear company Allbirds announced this morning it is pivoting to artificial intelligence. The new company expects to be called New Bird AI. That stock surging by 336%. More on Allbirds in the second hour of today's show. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch.
This is Ask Todd on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. If you have an existing estate plan or are in the market for one, Todd Lutzke is here to answer your questions and help you plan for later life. Ask Todd is presented by Cushing & Dolan, serving Massachusetts and New England for more than 35 years, helping families with estate and tax planning, Medicaid planning, and probate law. Visit CushingDolan.com. Now, here's Todd Lutzke.
As promised, we are joined by the one and only Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing and Dolan. We got the phone lines open because Ask Todd is your chance to ask Todd your estate planning questions live on air right now. 888-205-2263 is the number. Again, that is 888-205-2263. We can usually get through 2, maybe 3 of your calls if we're lucky. So get calling early to make sure you get in line to ask Todd your estate planning questions. 888-205-2263. Again, it is 888-205-2263. Mr. Lutzke, how you doing today?
I am never better. How are you?
I'm good. Do you have holes in your underwear?
I don't know where to go with that, but I'm gonna say, but no, not other than in the right places.
Well, how do you get your legs through then? Todd, I want to talk to you a little bit about beneficiary mishaps when you're talking about estate planning. What are the biggest mistakes that you've seen with someone naming beneficiaries for assets?
I'd say that the biggest mistake is so many people know that in their own mind, right? One of the things we want to accomplish is avoiding probate. And so they say, well, we can do that simply by just naming beneficiaries. As you said, Chuck, it's very simple, right?
Sure.
And just, yeah. What I'll do is I'll either do one of two things. I'll make it joint with my spouse, or more importantly, joint with a child, right? You could do that. Or, as you said, you could put a beneficiary on. Now, here's the problems. If you do it joint with a married couple, so husband and wife put together their assets, and they say, I don't need estate planning, I'll avoid probate, make it joint. Well, they're right. On the first death, everything would go to the spouse if it's all joint. And guess what? It would avoid probate. You're absolutely right. However, you've completely wasted your estate tax planning exemptions on the first death
because everything passed under the unlimited marital deduction to the spouse. And so you've not helped reduce your estate tax. And likely, with no planning done or that kind of a fix to the planning world, you would now be faced with potentially all probate assets on the second death. All right, so that's not necessarily the best way. What about if I went around and just named, I got like 3 children, right? And I have one child that lives nearby, so I throw this child on a joint account on a bunch of my assets, on a bunch of my accounts. Well, you do that, and I know why they do it. They do it because, I guess it would avoid probate. It would automatically go to that surviving joint owner when you die, and that I guess it accomplished that, but it's not helpful. Why? Because you put it on there because you wanted that child to be able to have access to the account, to pay a bill, to make it convenient for you and for the child, to help you. But you could be accidentally disinheriting your other children. So if you have 3 other children or 2 other children and they're not listed on the account, then all those assets go to that child. And that child has no obligation to leave you or to spread out that money to the child's siblings. You don't get to do that. Well, they don't have to, let's put it that way.
Sure.
So you've accidentally disinherited the children. And lastly, with beneficiary designations, yes, you could put beneficiary designations on, but again, if you're not putting, every child on as the designated beneficiary, then you're going to have a problem with disinheriting again. And so I think those are inherently, big problems with just trying to do what I like to call a quick fix to the estate planning or to avoiding probate.
Talking with Todd Lutzke from Cushing and Dolan. This is your chance to ask Todd your estate planning questions live on air. Phone number 888-205-2263. We do still have room on those phone lines, so get calling so you can ask Todd your estate planning questions. Again, 888-205-2263 is the number. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, your questions with Todd. Again, 888-205-2263 is the number. 888-205-2263.
Ask Todd with Todd Lutzke every Wednesday at 10:30, only here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Leaving assets to your family may sound simple, but you need the right plan. Cushing & Dolan's new guide is called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. Protect your assets and control your family's inheritance. Call 866-848-5699 and request your free guide today. That's 866-848-5699 or request the guide online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Sudden family emergencies can create confusion, especially when important information is scattered across different accounts. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. When something unexpected happens, loved ones may need quick access to legal documents or financial accounts that could affect your future. Our brand new guide is called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. It'll help you learn how to organize the information your family may need one day. Everything from emergency contacts and identification documents to bank accounts and retirement plans. The goal is to create one clear roadmap so that people you trust can quickly find what they need if a crisis occurs. Call 800-393-4001 and request your free guide, Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001 or request the guide online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Ayanna Pressley are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
As a busy mom to 4 kids, my to-do list is full.
Trying to fit in exercise, eating right, and prioritizing self-care can feel next to impossible.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has easy tips, tools, and information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
So to all the moms, the aunts, grandmothers, and amazing women out there doing it all,
visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
You take care of them, Go Red for Women will take care of you.
You're listening to Ask Todd with Todd Lutzke on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Talking with Todd Lutzke from Cushing and Dolan. Got room on the phone lines at 888-205-2263. That's the number to call to ask Todd your estate planning questions live right now. Todd, what'd you break?
I don't know. I saw this.
No, that's fine. That's the light.
Okay.
Yeah, that hasn't worked for months.
Okay.
Good.
It's fine.
I saw.
Why do you start pulling wires, Todd?
I know.
Like, what are you doing?
Talking to the mic.
I don't know.
Just don't touch anything.
Just ask me a question so I can talk intelligently about something.
888-205-2263 is the number to call to save us from Todd unplugging the studio. Again, 888-205-2263. Todd, when you're talking about leaving assets to beneficiaries, what are the biggest advantages that trusts have in terms of the actual post? What does it look like after someone dies?
Right.
How do they actually facilitate that process?
Yeah, and I think I can't tell you enough that it's really not just the probate and tax part of estate planning that we spend so much time on, but it's the family behind the estate plan. That's really what you're driving at here, Chuck, is, look, when someone dies, now there's these assets sitting there. What do we do? Well, that's the great thing about a trust is it can live on after you pass away. It doesn't have to. Remember, it's no right or wrong answer here. You folks can wrap it up and have everything pay out right away to children. And if that's the case, it's really simple. You look in there, you read it, and you're the trustee, and you just go to your financial institution if there's money in there and cut checks to the people that are listed. It could be that easy. Or if there's a piece of property in there, the trustee just prepares a deed transferring the property out to the people that are supposed to get it. I mean, so it can be very easy. Oh, and of course, no probate. Or you could have the trust live on. And now you have a trustee who's going to manage and invest the money. But again, it's very simple. Sit with your financial advisor if there's money in there and say, and usually just go to the same advisor your parents were using and just walk in and say, look, I'm taking over the account. Let's just keep it going, right? It's that simple. You get to manage and invest the money that's in there just like you would if you had actually received it as the beneficiary. So that could be easy.
Do different types of trusts have different processes that need to be followed after a passing?
So when someone dies, these buckets, if we're going to have the trust continue on, let's go with that. The paying it out is pretty easy. But if we're going to have the trust continue on, then the trust is going to need to get an ID number. So that's part of the process. You got to get a tax ID number. Now, if there's like 3 shares, one for each kid, well, guess what? We're going to have 3 separate tax ID numbers. One for each kid. And then, yes, as life goes on, these dollars are in there, and yes, they can be distributed out to the child. Generally, it can be for health, education, maintenance, and support. It could be for, sole discretionary distributions by the trustee to provide divorce protection and other creditor protection. And as those distributions come out, they can be taxed on the individual's tax return, or if not, you simply file an income tax return for the trust at the end of the year, and life goes on kind of the same way.
Todd, I got Chris from Falmouth all queued up on the phone for you. Chris, what's your question for Todd Lutzke?
Hi, Todd. It's nice to talk to you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, my question is, I used to be pretty good at keeping all my accounting work and my bookkeeping done for my small business. I was really good at it. I think I was real good at it. I'm fake. I don't know. Nobody really judged me, so I'm judging myself. Anyway, I have a house that my father left me in 1989, put everything in my name. I took care of my mother. She has since passed away. My brother was up here he had monetary problems, but he has passed away. So I took care of the funerals, and it's expensive funerals, as we know.
Yeah.
And I would like to know where to start to start planning where I can give money out if I sell the house or whatever.
So the first problem I have is I don't know any. I assume all these people that passed, your family members that have passed, left you everything, correct?
Well, my father left everything. My mom was the one that I was taking care of her.
Did your mom leave you assets?
She didn't leave anything because my father left everything in my name.
All right, so your mom didn't leave you anything. Your dad has assets, so they're your assets now. So you're allowed to do your own planning, and you should do your own planning. But if they're your assets, you're allowed to do whatever you want with them. I'm just trying to get to the question. I'm trying to understand what your question is. If they're your assets, then you're allowed to do whatever you want with them. They're not tied in any trust. They're not held up anyway. They're not restricted, right? They're yours.
Right.
So
one thing I didn't mention. She does have money in a bank, with Social Security money from my father that built up. And
whose name's on the account?
Well, it is a joint account. So she has her account, but I changed while she was in the nursing home. I had a no Republic come in and make a joint account.
But my question is, if she's passed away, that joint account should belong to you now because it's a joint ownership situation. You can go and take the money and put it into your name because you're the joint owner.
Well, it has to be. Can it be transferred easily from her account to the joint account?
No, you said it's already in a joint account. You go to the bank and take the money from the joint account and put it into your name. So that's what you need to do. I think you just need to get a better handle on your questions and so that I can help you. But I at this point, I don't feel like you're able to sort of tell me exactly what you want to do. But I would say go get the money from the joint account. And if you've got other assets that your dad already left you, those are your assets. And I think you need to kind of do your own planning. But I hope that helped a little. But folks, this is a really good example that Chris had, is that, there was no planning done, in real planning done. So how assets got left to Chris kind of caused a problem. And that's exactly what we're trying to prevent here. Is this new guide for the month is called How to Leave Assets to Your Beneficiaries. It talks about whether you've got a second marriage, how do you deal with that? What if you've got, a special needs child? What if you have, generation skipping tax concerns, or you want to protect assets from future divorces of your children? Folks, there's so many ways to think about how you want to leave your assets. Yes, as Chuck mentioned earlier, it also goes through jointly owned assets and beneficiary designations and tells you about the pros and cons of those. But folks, quite frankly, how you leave assets to your family can be more important than saving taxes and probate. So call and get the guide and learn how best to leave assets to your family. 866-848-5858. 848-5699 or legalexchangeshow.com. Again, 866-848-5699 or legalexchangeshow.com. And if you want more information, go to our Instagram page, Cushing Dolan PC.
Todd, does using trusts for passing assets to the next generation or whoever you choose to, do trusts have any impact on the step up in cost basis that an heir would receive?
Yeah, so they absolutely can have a step up. So be very careful when you're thinking about doing your planning, what kind of trust you're putting together. You know, if you're putting together, if you have like a large estate and you're trying to put together a gifting trust where you want to get assets out of your estate so that you can save estate taxes, well, that's important, but make sure you're saving both federal and state estate taxes. That combines about 50%. Because when you give it away, to your point, Chuck, you don't get a step up in basis on assets that you put in an irrevocable gifting trust where you completed the gift. So it's okay if I'm saving 50% in the estate planning world, even though I'm trapping 28% capital gains. I get it. It's still better. But if not, then don't necessarily make the gift. But for most trusts, even Medicaid income-only trusts that we talk about, even though they're irrevocable, so some irrevocable trusts and all revocable trusts, when you die with those assets that are still left in your trust, then it's as if you died owning them because they're included in your estate for estate tax purposes. Even the Medicaid trust, it's an incomplete gift for gift tax purposes, so it's included. Then when you die, you get that all-important step up in basis, eliminating all the built-in gain on real estate and investment portfolios when you die.
Mr. Lutsky, thank you so much for joining us today.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
This has been Ask Todd on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Ask Todd with Todd Lutsky has been presented by Cushing & Dolan, serving Massachusetts and New England for more than 30 years, helping families with estate and tax planning, Medicaid planning, and probate law. Call 800-393-4001 or visit CushingDolan.com. The views expressed in this segment are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Armstrong Advisory does not provide any legal or tax advice. Please consult with your legal or tax advisor on such matters. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Still more to get to as we head towards hour number 2. We're going to be talking about what we're seeing from tax refunds this filing season. Also, are Americans just actually getting lazier? We'll discuss. We'll also talk a little bit about retirees that are trying to deal with inflation at the moment, and also specifically what we're seeing in terms of both home construction and home insurance as it relates to inflation as well. So we got all that and not a whole lot more, but we got a little more. So make sure you stick around. Hour 2 coming up in a bit.
When it comes to estate planning, many families focus on taxes, but understanding how your family will receive the assets you leave behind is just as important. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law and have a new guide out called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. The guide explains decisions that may be problematic, such as adding a child as a joint donor on a real estate property, which could expose your assets to creditors or a possible divorce. You'll also learn how trusts can be used to help protect your assets and control when your beneficiaries receive their inheritance. Call 866-848-5699 right now and ask for your free guide called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. That's 866-848-5699. Or request the guide online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
One of the most helpful things you can do for your family is to make sure that important information about your life is organized and easy to find. Hi, this is Chuck Zodda from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Financial accounts, legal documents, and insurance policies are all part of a complete financial picture. When that information is scattered scattered in different places, it can be difficult for loved ones to step in and help if a crisis occurs. Our new guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder will show you how to organize the most important details of your financial life, including key contacts, retirement plans, investment accounts, and insurance information. Call 800-393-4001 and ask for your free guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide by visiting armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive. Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. Every walker who joins HeartWalk means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative William Keating are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
This is the Money Matters Radio Network. WBNW 1120 AM and W275CM FM. Concord, Boston. The Money Matters Radio Network.
When a heart stops, the clock starts. You are the first responder until help arrives. In that moment, 4 minutes equals brain damage. 6 minutes equals too late in an emergency. The first responder is you. We need you. Will you be ready? Learn CPR. Visit heart.org/nation. That's heart.org/nation.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
Organization can make a big difference when life takes an unexpected turn. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Having your most important information all in one place may help the people you trust handle critical financial or legal decisions if a crisis occurs. We've written a new guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. In it, we offer strategies that can help you coordinate the most vital details of your life, including key contacts, legal documents, and property information. Our goal is to provide you with a clear plan for the people you trust if they ever need to help manage a life-altering situation. Call 800-393-4001 right now and ask for your free guide called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. We focus on the people returning from service, not their specific illness or injury. Our number one goal is to make sure our veterans have the necessary services they need, be it physical, emotional, or financial, so that their transition can be seamless. You can help our great American heroes as well by making a donation today by visiting dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange quick tip of the day. And today we're talking about your brand new guide, Todd, how to leave assets to your beneficiaries. Todd, why can't you just add your kids to your accounts or to your house deed?
Well, you can. It's just not a good idea. So people who do that understand with an account, right, you can put a joint name on the account. Now, that doesn't actually complete the gift because you actually have to take the money out and then the gift is complete. But when you set it up, yeah, the asset would avoid probate. But if something happens to the child, it's going to be, available. Half the asset would be subject to the children's creditor. So you don't want that. And secondly, if you only put one kid on the deed, you've likely disinherited the other kids. So it's not really good planning overall. Whereas if you put the house in the kid's name, now you've actually made a completed gift of half the house and would need to file a gift tax return, number one. Number two, of course, it's exposed to the child's creditors and, yes, divorces. You could find yourself at some point owning half your house with an ex-in-law. Not sure that's a good way to plan. So please, put together trusts. Don't just throw names on deeds or on bank accounts because, as I always like to say, nothing good comes from giving assets away while you're living.
The estate planning experts at Cushing & Dolan have been helping families like yours for more than 30 years, and they've written a brand new guide called How to Leave Assets to Your Beneficiaries. To get your free copy of this comprehensive guide that will help you determine the best way to leave assets to your family, simply call 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699, or you can request it from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts. Do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Marc Fandetti. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Marc Fandetti.
As you just heard, it's Chuck, it's Mark, and as you didn't hear, Tucker's with us too. I don't know why his name isn't on there, because it should be.
Thanks.
Just saying, no big deal. But in any case, as we sit here today, we've got markets mostly up, but narrowly up, and so actually kind of mixed, if that makes sense, which it might. Here's what we've got going on. The S&P 500's up 24 points, about 0.33%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, which doesn't have much technology exposure in it, is down 118 points, about 0.25%. And the NASDAQ Composite, which is, well, a lot of tech, but also stuff like Walmart that, people don't realize is in the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ Composite is up 211 points, or almost 1%. And the Russell 2000 is basically flat on the day. So it's kind of a narrow group of stocks leading the way, which, remember, I know that everyone likes to talk about, we want, market breadth, we want, wide participation. I get that. But, look, guys, I got to tell you. I got to tell you. The last 3 times we've tried the wide breadth thing, it's failed now. Market tried it back in August of 2024. We ended up with Yen-mageddon, where the yen blew up and the VIX went to 60 on a Monday, and people are like, what the heck just happened? Market tried to broaden out all through July, failed, stocks fell 7-8% in a couple days. Didn't work. We gave that up. Fast forward to Q1 of last year. I know everyone was focused on, you've got, tariffs being imposed, this, that, and whatever. Hey, the market was trying to broaden out because tech wasn't working. What happened? Splat right into Liberation Day. I know that there might have been, confounding factors and everything, but all I'm saying is the market tried to broaden out and it didn't work. And then you can play back the tape from Q1 of this year and even late Q4 of last year, where we were talking about, look, guys, the market's trying to broaden out. The last couple times this has happened, it didn't work. Again, I know mitigating factors and everything, like I understand that, but the fact is, the market tried to broaden out in Q1 and fell flat on its face. Again, I know there's other stuff going on, but this is not a market the last few years that has proven successful of making constructive gains when Mag 7 isn't working. So, the last 2.5 weeks, what's been working? Mag 7. Now, today, it's more crap that's working, quite honestly. Like, yes, like, you still have, the Mags doing their thing, but you got, like, all the stuff that was rallying in October of last year, like all the quantum computing crap and all that stuff. Like, that's going nutty. You got freaking Allbirds. Y'all remember Allbirds? They're the company we made fun of, like, 5 years ago for being like, we're not just a shoe company, we're a way of life. And it's true, like, they're not just a shoe company anymore because they sold off their shoe business and are now pivoting to try to make AI data centers. I'm not making this up. Like, you can Google it, you can Bing it, you can Claude it, you can whatever you want to do.
It literally could have been like a candidate for like an April Fool's gag.
Yes.
That went wrong.
It's
real.
It very much feels like Long Island Iced Tea changing their name to Long Island Blockchain back in 2018 or whatever it is. So they're not known as Allbirds anymore. What are they known as now? Newbird AI?
That's right.
Newbird AI, Mark. Mark, I'm telling you, if you want your market cap to go up, all you got to do is rebrand yourself. You could be Marc Fandetti AI.
Yeah. Change my legal name, and then I have to go public. No revenue, no business plan.
Someone will SPAC you.
Yeah, I've been trying that for years. So far, no takers.
You could you could be a SPAC. Just like you, the physical.
But to your point, money's indiscriminately piling into markets. It's benefited growth, small growth in particular, emerging markets, the most risk sensitive, if you will, high beta, if you like the jargon.
Yeah.
Segments of the market are benefiting, and it does give you a little bit of pause.
We're getting kind of into silly season now. Again, you can
Yeah.
I can understand the last
exactly.
2 weeks of, hey, markets are trying to look through a short-term disruption because they're hopeful of, a long-term solution to the Hormuz crisis. Okay, fine. I understand why you might beating up Microsoft or beating up NVIDIA based on that. When you got Allbirds being bid up by, 373% today?
Let me double check now.
It changes by the minute, and what? I'm out of date, huh?
471%.
Okay, so
as of 11:10.
Allbirds, you've almost got a 5-bagger in a
4-7.
single day because they took out a $50 million line to try to do something with data centers. Now,
474.
I do want to point out that despite this move, Allbirds is still 97.5% off its all-time high. Granted, before this move, it was 99.5% off its all-time high. But I'm just saying... Okay, no, I want to discuss this a little further, actually.
Yeah, go for it.
Here's the thing. Let's say that you believe that there needs to be more AI data center capacity, which is a completely reasonable thing to believe. What makes you think these are going to be the guys who did it? Who are going to do it? Who are going to be like...
Comfy shoe.
I'm sorry, guys. They make shoes. Quite honestly, I've bought a couple pairs of them in my life. They're perfectly cromulent footwear.
Yeah, they're nice.
They're fine. They're comfortable. They're nice. You can throw them in the washing machine. Like, it's good. But there is literally nothing that translates from, hey, like, let's make shoes out of wool to, hey, do you think we should build data centers for AI? Like, this is a little this is not the kind of stuff that you want to see in healthy markets. This is the kind of stuff where you're like, makes me feel a little bit nervous.
Yeah, these feel
about
more
it.
like spasms. The president comes out, he says, we're very, very close to ending this war. It's happened several times in the past 6 weeks. Markets spasm, they go up. This one's been a little...
Which I understand. Like,
yes, it is irrational.
You might be like,
I'm not
I
saying,
don't buy it, but like you can understand
no, it makes
why
total
the market
sense.
does it.
I'm not mocking it. I'm not questioning it. This is just sort of a prolonged version of the pattern of the past several weeks. Money floods indiscriminately into risk assets, pushes up stuff in a fashion that is sort of inexplicable and silly. And we'll see where we are in, I guess, 6-8 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. 10-year Treasury is up 2 basis points to 4.278%. Dollar index down 0.03% to 97.88. Gold is off $14.70 an ounce to $48.35. And we got crude oil, West Texas Intermediate up $1 a barrel to 92.28. AAA national average for gas prices down another cent overnight to 4.10 8/10. Diesel still hanging in pretty close to the recent highs at 5.63 and 0.5 cents. Piece from the... Actually, let's take a quick break here. Quick break, trivia, and then we're talking about what we're seeing from this year's tax refund season next.
Subscribe now to our YouTube page, where you'll find daily interviews and full shows of the Financial Exchange. We'll get you caught up on anything and everything you might have missed, right here on the Financial Exchange. When it comes to estate planning, many families focus on taxes, but understanding how your family will receive the assets you leave behind is just as important. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law and have a new guide out called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. The guide explains decisions that may be problematic, such as adding a child as a joint donor on a real estate property, which could expose your assets to creditors or a possible divorce. You'll also learn how trusts can be used to help protect your assets and control when your beneficiaries receive their inheritance. Call 866-848-5699 right now and ask for your free guide called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. That's 866-848-5699. Or request the guide online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Sudden family emergencies can create confusion, especially when important information is scattered across different accounts. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. When something unexpected happens, loved ones may need quick access to legal documents or financial accounts that could affect your future. Our brand new guide is called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. It'll help you learn how to organize the information your family may need one day. Everything from emergency contacts and identification documents to bank accounts and retirement plans. The goal is to create one clear roadmap so that people you trust can quickly find what they need if a crisis occurs. Call 800-393-4001 and request your free guide, Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001 or request the guide online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
Here at the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we are committed to all students not only attending, but succeeding at school. Your presence is powerful. Share why you attend at doe.mass.edu.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Stephen Lynch are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Stay connected between shows. Follow the Financial Exchange on Instagram for daily clips on business news from New England and around the country. This is the Financial Exchange.
All right, time for trivia here on the Financial Exchange. On this day in 2019, one of Europe's most famous landmarks caught fire, toppling its spire and destroying its roof. It took 5 years for restorations to be done, with the landmark reopening in late 2024. So, our trivia question today: which famous European landmark caught fire on this day in 2019? Once again, which famous European landmark caught fire on this day in 2019? Be the 7th person today to text us at 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, along with keyword trivia, and you win a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Once again, the 7th correct response to text us to the number 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, along with the keyword trivia, will win that t-shirt. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
Mark, we are right in the middle of tax season. In fact, today is the deadline for filing, or at least for filing an extension if you happen to be one of those people. And what are we seeing in terms of the data surrounding tax refunds and, you know, the potential impact on the U.S. economy? The sense that I've gotten anecdotally is not as robust as expected, but what are we seeing actually?
Well, to summarize the Bloomberg piece, refunds are bigger as a result of changes in law. That's what you would expect. They cite an average of $350, and that's going to be skewed by higher earners with bigger deductions, obviously, for property tax expenses. Most taxpayers, I don't know exactly what their source is for this, but say they haven't noticed a difference. So either they didn't know what to expect, or there is no difference for most, and most of the benefits are accruing to higher earners. I don't really know which of those two things is the case.
I think the big thing, remember, tax refunds in general tend to go up most years. Last year, the average refund was about $115 bigger than the previous year. So this year, if you're talking about, $350, yes, it's bigger, but if it's being eaten into by gas, prices and things like that, it's...
Oh, you think that's what they mean by didn't notice? Like, not literally, just like, oh, I'm still spending more because of gas. Like, I'm not feeling the benefits.
I think
like
it might
vibe.
be that, but the other thing, quite honestly, and look, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you remember, what you got back for a refund? Do you remember what happened when you filed your taxes last year?
Well, yeah, because I pay.
I know you're a nerd.
No, I'm not.
Well, no,
I'm not like a tax nerd.
No, but you like the numbers.
I sort of remember. Like to the dollar, no, but ballpark, yeah, because I had to write a check.
I just don't know. If you asked me, Chuck, did you have to pay? I couldn't even tell you if I had to pay or got a refund last year.
Do you do your own tax return?
I do, and I still couldn't tell you what I got last year.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what the actual outcome was.
Yeah. So you think this is more people just aren't feeling, say, wealthier because of it, because of increased expenditures on maybe fuel?
Maybe. Yeah. I don't really
that's
know.
I have, yeah.
It's like I can't really make heads or tails of it.
Well, we can. Oh, sorry.
No.
But we can say though that
I'm here for the next hour.
The benefits.
40 minutes.
The benefits.
Rounding up, thanks.
I meant I don't know, some program thing.
It's only 39 after that exchange.
Yeah. No, I'm a great time killer. The it's not disputable that any any stimulus to demand, any so-called fiscal stimulus resulting from changes in tax law have probably been neutralized by the what I'll call the oil tax increase. Now, that's not an entirely complete assessment of what's happened because there are winners as well as losers when the oil price goes up. But the average consumer, all things considered, is worse off. Maybe that's what they mean.
So this brings us now to a kind of tangentially related piece, which is, in Bloomberg opinion, why aren't Americans working as hard as they used to? And to get at this, I wanted to see, okay, like, show me the data that we are seeing here, like what's going on. And in fact, the interesting thing is that there is no data that's presented in this piece. Like, I looked through it, and I went through the whole thing, and basically the message that I got from it was, hey, like, we think Americans are working less, but we don't have the data to back that up. And so, like, I couldn't even analyze it because there's just nothing in here, quite honestly.
Well, we know working hours, and they actually say this, right? Working hours have gone down. We know that.
They don't tell us how much. They don't tell us over what time period. So it's like, what am I looking at?
Yeah, and it's not really hours. It's productivity that matters for wages.
Right. If you could run the world by pressing one button at the beginning of the day and everything gets done,
that'd be cool.
Do we complain? Well, you're not working enough. Like,
no.
The cows got fed, then they got turned into beef, and then they made it to your plate. That's a good day.
Yeah. We would call that productivity.
Correct.
You can invent a robot to do it, or you can find better ways to do it. Either way, productivity, total factor, in a total factor sense, to use like a research term, goes up. That's not a bad thing. Americans still work many more hours, 10, 20%, depending on the country, than, say, Europeans do. Thus, the difference in standard of living. We're wealthier because we work more.
We don't take August off every year.
Right.
You know, like you don't shut down the whole country for a month.
But our average is about 1,800 hours. Russia's average is a lot more, but they're less productive. Russia's average is 2,000 hours. France's average, just to pull a random European country sort of welfare state and use it as an example, 1,500 hours again, as opposed to 1,800 for the U.S.
So I think ultimately the amount of time that someone spends working or that a population spends working isn't the piece that actually matters. It's what do you produce during that time.
It's part of it.
Yes, but it's what do you produce during that time. It's ultimately the whole thing that matters is hours worked times productivity.
Yeah, but developed world productivity rates are similar because technology is similar. So if you're comparing like the U.S. to France and looking at our higher GDP per capita, you'd say, well, we work longer. But to Russia or a developing country, well, they're not as productive and their institutions suck.
So I'm glad that we got that squared away. In any case, I just found this piece kind of underwhelming because it doesn't. I'm not sure what question it's trying to answer, and there's nothing wrong with being able to be more productive, such that you can get more done in a shorter period of time. Am I wrong about that?
No, that's the name of the game is productivity. Before the modern era, people worked a lot. They had odd schedules. Taking 20 days a year off to worship saints and stuff like that. We don't do that anymore. But their productivity didn't go anywhere until like the Industrial Revolution, basically. So economic growth went nowhere for like 1,500 years.
Subsistence level living.
Right.
Was
if
kind
you
of
had
the
a
norm.
kid, it ate up whatever gains in income you were able to realize. So yeah, subsistence living, right? In a nutshell.
What happened to the whole 4-day work week thing? Remember that? It was like 3 or 4 years, maybe longer ago than that. It was like, this 4-day work week experiment keeps popping up, and we're going to a 4-day work week, and it's gone.
The 4-day work week has been rumored for the last 120 years. It's basically the 4-day work week is the employee version of fusion power. It's always 20 years away. It's like, hey, in 1920, if we keep seeing these productivity gains, by 1940 you only need to work 4 days a week. And then the same thing in 1950. Yeah, by 1970, you'll only need to... And here's the thing. There's always more work to be done, actually, because anytime you solve one problem, you create another. And it's just the nature of work keeps evolving. So this is one of the reasons why, even with all of this AI hype and everything, I'm still not convinced it ends up resulting in a net loss of jobs. It may result in a massive net transformation of jobs from doing what you used to do to something completely new. But there's always new work to do.
No.
And the piece that is interesting, what I will say, if you look at the jobs that are being selected for by like what the labor market's telling you right now, it is saying, hey, we basically need people to help take care of each other, healthcare and teachers and stuff like that. We don't need a lot of the other stuff. And that's interesting. We can discuss more when we come back.
Bringing the latest financial news straight to your radio every day. It's the Financial Exchange on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Our Senators Edward Markey and Elizabeth Warren and Representative Lori Trahan are standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. They know the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Sudden family emergencies can create confusion, especially when important information is scattered across different accounts. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. When something unexpected happens, loved ones may need quick access to legal documents or financial accounts that could affect your future. Our brand new guide is called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. It'll help you learn how to organize the information your family may need one day. Everything from emergency contacts and identification documents to bank accounts and retirement plans. The goal is to create one clear roadmap so that people you trust can quickly find what they need if a crisis occurs. Call 800-393-4001 and request your free guide, Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001 or request the guide online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. When it comes to estate planning, many families focus on taxes, but understanding how your family will receive the assets you leave behind is just as important. Cushing & Dolan are experts in elder law and have a new guide out called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. The guide explains decisions that may be problematic, such as adding a child as a joint owner on a real estate property, which could expose your assets to creditors or a possible divorce. You'll also learn how trusts can be used to help protect your assets and control when your beneficiaries receive their inheritance. Call 866-848-5699 right now and ask for your free guide called How to Leave Assets to Beneficiaries. That's 866-848-5699. Or request the guide online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, this is Chuck and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group, and we have a guide available this month titled Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. Mike, when we talk about the type of information that should be in there, what kinds of things should people be including so that a loved one or family member can help to keep their finances in order?
Yeah, I think, on the financial side, it's what do I have and where is it?
And how do I get access to it?
Right, and so that can mean getting access to online passwords and things along those lines, but obviously how you share this stuff is extremely sensitive given the threat to being breached down the road. And so mainly it is, though, what is the snapshot of my financial, health, and legal life? And how do I format it in a way that people can actually interpret it?
And I think another piece there is that is also always changing. How do I let people know what changes I've made and when I've made updates to it? Because I might not have the same accounts that I used to.
Right. And the guy does lay that out of, hey, how do I document changes in here? Because you might not always have that old account at said financial institution. It could change. It could shift. You might retire. And keeping this thing up to date is critical. Obviously, the more stuff there is out there, the more complicated this becomes. And so as much of it as you can check off the list while you're still around and able to explain it is extremely helpful.
The guide, again, is titled Building Your Emergency Financial Binder, and there are two ways that you can request it. The first is by calling 800-393-4001. The second is by going to armstrongadvisory.com. That phone number again is 800-393-4001, or visit armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Time now for Wall Street Watch, tracking the stocks, the data, and the headlines driving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Well, markets are mixed, but traders are witnessing another rally from the NASDAQ today as traders sift through more first quarter bank earnings. Right now, the Dow is down 0.4% or 203 points. S&P 500 up over 1/3% or 25 points. NASDAQ up over 0.9% or 217 points. Russell 2000 edging higher. 10-year Treasury yield up 2 basis points at 4.285%. And oil up 1.5% now, trading at $92 a barrel. Bank of America reported better than expected first quarter results lifted by equities sales and trading. CEO Brian Moynihan said the bank saw healthy client activity, including solid consumer spending. That stock up 1.5%. Meanwhile, Morgan Stanley up over 4% after the firm also posted impressive first quarter results. Elsewhere, Broadcom announced an expanded partnership with Meta to provide the Facebook parent company with more custom AI chips, sending shares in Broadcom up by 3%. Snap shares are up 8% after the Snapchat parent company announced plans to lay off up to 16% of its workforce, citing AI-driven efficiencies. And in a strange move, struggling footwear company Allbirds announced this morning it is pivoting to artificial intelligence. The new company expects to be called New Bird AI. That stock, checking in now, is surging 779% higher. Yeah. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch. In the previous segment, we asked you the trivia question: which famous European landmark caught fire on this day in 2019? That would be the Notre Dame Cathedral. Steve from Sandwich, Mass. is our winner today, taking home a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Congrats to Steve. We play trivia every day here on the Financial Exchange. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
Did you say 770?
That's correct. 779. I don't know what we're doing here.
It's kind of wild.
807.
807.
What are we doing?
Yeah,
this is just not.
They're going to put the AI in your shoes, so your feet are going to be smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be like a brain for your big toe.
What's going to happen with all those shoes?
They're gonna become smart shoes.
I don't get it.
They're gonna make your feet are gonna be able to pick themselves up, and then put themselves down.
I'm interested. You have my attention.
800%. I mean, here's the thing. Like, here's the part that is like kind of funny, and that I'm sure like a lot of human beings go through this thought. If you've spent any time like looking at markets, you're like, oh, I spent all this time like reading this and reading that and doing this and doing that, and then some Dumbo comes along and just puts an AI on the back of a stock ticker, and it goes up 800% in a day. Like, it makes you a little frustrated, like, if you're being honest about it. Right? Like, it's like, oh, like, you can learn about, like, different strategies, and here's, asset allocation and this and that. Doesn't matter. Stock's up 800% in a day because they wrote AI at the end of their name.
Bird AI? Is that what?
Yeah, it should give...
Let's be honest, it's a little frustrating.
It should give proponents of efficient market the idea that on average prices reflect, and I'm botching this a little bit, but I'm going to go with it anyway. On average, prices reflect all available information. I'm oversimplifying. And the hope is that is somehow a rational calculation. That's not, rationality is not part of efficient markets, so I'm
no, because the participants are inherently irrational.
Efficient markets just say, prices impound available info. So if somebody expected good earnings tomorrow, the price would go up today. There's really no way to beat the market. A corollary is you can't beat the market consistently. That's every day. Every day's price change is not predictable based on the last price change. So efficient markets and rationality are not the same thing, but you can't have the former without the latter. I'm stretching things a little bit here, but again, I'm just going to go with it. It does sort of give you pause if you're a practitioner and makes you question, geez, are these things even rational?
No.
And on average, over long periods of time, yeah.
Sure.
It makes sense if you look at the growth of the stock market and
even
the
just
growth
look
of
at
the
Allbirds,
economy.
the company. Like, hey, when they IPO'd, everyone was like, "Oh, this is like a transformative company," and then it lost 99% of its value over the next 5 years because it wasn't. This could very much have the exact same outcome, or this could be, some maybe they are really good at buying NVIDIA chips and renting them out. I don't know why they'd be better than anyone else who has greater scale than a $50 million, offering to buy a couple hundred of these chips, but it's like, hey, if you guys want to shoot your shot, go for it. But why are the guys who couldn't make money making shoes going to be able to make money renting out chips?
Yeah, this is a good example of a bubble. Often you use that term, you qualify it, you say, well, you don't really know till after the fact. No, this is stupid. This is a bubble. This is people buying solely because they expect somebody to buy in the near future, buy their shares at a higher price. That's one way to think about a bubble. This is clearly a bubble. It's probably going to pop dramatically, and it'll sink right back down to wherever this started. We said it went up 800 so-called %, so that's a 9 factor.
Is it 900 now?
That's a factor of 9. So it went from 2 to 18?
642.
Yeah.
So it just pulled back 20% since we started talking about it.
Yeah, that's accurate. 690 now. So, yeah.
This is a textbook, I think, bubble because there's nothing sort of rational or fundamental underpinning it.
What are you going to do with your $50 million? Like, you're going to go out, these NVIDIA chips, like just the chips alone, not even the servers. You're talking like $50,000 for them. So I just want to make sure I'm not missing a decimal point. Yeah, so you're going to buy 1,000 of these chips at most with like nothing else. And then you're going to be able to rent them out better than all of the giant guys who've got hundreds of thousands of these? Like, why are you going to be able to acquire them more cheaply or better than anyone else?
Yeah, you've already asked more questions than anybody who's bought this stock. Good for them, by the way. But that would be and I know you're not being serious, but that would be thinking too hard about it.
It's just kind of wild to me. It's just kind of wild to me. I want to talk about these pieces on the housing market right now. These I do think are really interesting. One from Bloomberg Opinion: an inflation time bomb is hiding in home insurance. And look, I've spent some time looking at this, and yes, I do tend to agree that home insurance, as much as the price has gone up in many parts of the country, there still is a problem that is lurking out there in a couple different forms. The first is that when you look at how inflation for homeowners insurance has been measured, the PCE has measured that it's risen 35% over the last 5 years, but the actual rise in homeowners insurance rates during that time is 62%. So the data on the inflation side is not matching up with what's actually been observed by payers. The other piece is, in many parts of the country, I don't think it's done. You talk to anyone who works in this business, and they will tell you there are still problems in trying to actually get insurers to cover anything near replacement cost, given how cost structures have moved. And so you still have a problem where the liabilities and the assets are not matching up clearly. And so there's still probably room to run in a lot of markets not named Florida, which is finally showing some stability in its insurance market after years of double-digit price increases.
Yeah, PCE, and other inflation measures will eventually capture this. They just haven't done so yet.
Yep. The other piece on this, remember, ultimately when we talk about homeowners insurance cost, it's, okay, what does it cost to either repair, rebuild like what was damaged? And one of the ways that builders are trying to cut costs in order to keep homes as affordable as possible for buyers, they're cutting out the expensive stuff. Think about the stuff that actually costs like a lot of money in a home. Now, I know everything, has a cost, but you talk about the stuff that doesn't take up a lot of space but does take up a lot of budget, and you're talking windows, you're talking plumbing, you're talking cabinetry, these kinds of things. And so around the margins, you're seeing changes that from builders saying, okay, how can I make this as cheap as possible? So it might be, hey, we figured out, a way to get rid of 2 windows in this unit that we normally build. And sure, it's not going to be quite as bright as it was, but we think people will be happy to buy it if they can pay less than they would have otherwise. Or, hey, the kitchen, we're going to downsize the space occupied by cabinets from, 25 feet of wall space down to 22 feet because that'll help save $3,000 on our costs, and we can pass that on to lower prices for offerings. So these are the kinds of things that you are seeing builders trying to do. But even beyond that, it's stuff that's more drastic. So D.R. Horton, who is, again, like you look at like the big publicly traded homemakers, home builders, D.R. Horton tends to be towards kind of the lower end of the spectrum. And I'll quote here from the Wall Street Journal. Warren Bryan last fall bought a no-frills D.R. Horton built house in Tallahassee, Florida. Unable to sell it for months, the builder cut the price by $14,000 and offered Bryan a 3.99% mortgage rate. But the home had vinyl flooring and skimpier than typical 3/4 of an inch granite countertops, so again, making like the counters thinner than normal. And this is the part where you get kind of ridiculous. Horton also didn't put up gutters or install a towel rack in the bathroom wall or screw a doorknob in that promptly fell off after Bryan moved in. Now the doorknob, okay, whatever, like not a big deal. But you just like, no, we don't need gutters. We're just gonna wing it. Oh, where do I hang my towel when I take a shower? You don't.
The doorknob.
Yeah, the doorknob. It's on the floor. Oh, like, well, just put it on the floor. It'll be fine. So, again, like you get to a point where people will push back on these things, but for right now, it's still as people are so desperate to find some kind of housing that is relatively affordable that they're willing to put up with this stuff. Let's take a quick break. When we return, Stack Roulette.
Miss any of the show? The Financial Exchange Show podcast is available on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Hit the subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Sudden family emergencies can create confusion, especially when important information is scattered across different accounts. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. When something unexpected happens, loved ones may need quick access to legal documents or financial accounts that could affect your future. Our brand new guide is called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. It'll help you learn how to organize the information your family may need one day. Everything from emergency contacts and identification documents to bank accounts and retirement plans. The goal is to create one clear roadmap so that people you trust can quickly find what they need if a crisis occurs. Call 800-393-4001 and request your free guide, Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001 or request the guide online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Sudden family emergencies can create confusion, especially when important information is scattered across different accounts. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. When something unexpected happens, loved ones may need quick access to legal documents or financial accounts that could affect your future. Our brand new guide is called Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. It'll help you learn how to organize the information your family may need one day. Everything from emergency contacts and identification documents to bank accounts and retirement plans. The goal is to create one clear roadmap so that people you trust can quickly find what they need if a crisis occurs. Call 800-393-4001 and request your free guide, Building Your Emergency Financial Binder. That's 800-393-4001 or request the guide online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
As a busy mom to 4 kids, my to-do list is full.
Trying to fit in exercise, eating right, and prioritizing self-care can feel next to impossible.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has easy tips, tools, and information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
So to all the moms, the aunts, the grandmothers, and amazing women out there doing it all,
visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
You take care of them, Go Red for Women will take care of you.
In a heartbeat, you could be the difference.
Marc collapsed from cardiac arrest.
9 out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive.
It took 30 minutes of chest compressions to finally feel a pulse.
Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. But together, we can change that. Extraordinary things happen when people take action. A small step, a simple skill, a life-saving moment. HeartWalk brings communities together to create health and hope for every heartbeat. Every walker who joins HeartWalk, every dollar donated, means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Join HeartWalk today. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
From Fed decisions to market moves, watch the Financial Exchange live on X. This is the Financial Exchange.
The Financial Exchange is incredibly proud to be a partner of the DAV of Massachusetts. Nearly 400 runners have already registered for this year's DAV 5K. The event sold out in record time last year, so head to dav5k.boston for all the information about how you can participate this November or make a donation to support our great American heroes. Your gifts help fund free rides to medical appointments for veterans and the nation's first DAV-led housing initiative, providing homes for single veterans and veteran families. Go to dav5k.boston and make your donation today. That's dav5k.boston.
Mark, what do you got for Stack Roulette?
Gallup asked a random sample of Americans, in the past 30 days, have you used an AI tool or chatbot for health-related information or advice? The majority said yes, and the majority said yes because they wanted answers quickly or wanted to be have some concern allayed or were doing some research prior to a visit with an actual doctor. So the upshot, and Gallup asked additional series of questions along the same sort of thread. The upshot is an increasing number of people are turning to ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever with basic health questions, but it doesn't appear that they're, at this point anyway, substituting that for, say, a professional opinion. So, like with many of the surveys we cover, it's unclear exactly what to make of it, except for the obvious, which is that people are turning to AI chat bots for reassurance or clarity or something. Would you do that if you had a serious question?
Like I'm
having a pain. I'm having a pain, lower right hand side,
describing
just above
symptoms or something.
Yeah,
to AI,
I mean, getting as specific as possible, and then getting a sort of what could it be type opinion.
Not for any actionable thing, Again, even for something like that, sure, I have put stuff in there just curious to see what it says.
Yeah.
Not in terms of, okay, do I take this to my doctor and should I try to figure out treatments for it based
I assume
no.
I'd say yes.
No. But sure, how many of us go around Googling symptoms? Is it any different from that really?
Yep. No.
And naturally,
same resource.
And here's the problem with any of this. And look, we've all been through it. The second that you get whatever it spits out back, you are immediately convinced you're dying. It's no different. You visit WebMD, you're like, oh, I've got stomach pain. Immediately, it's you're dying. Oh, I've got chest pain. You're dying. I've got foot pain. Dying. No one has ever gone to WebMD and come away being I feel better. I'm glad I read that. It's just you always get attracted to the worst case possibility. Even when you have a symptom, even if you don't Google it immediately, you're I feel something in my chest that's kind of hard. I'm a little nervous. And then you go to your doctor, they're that's your rib. Again, this is just what our brains do. We always look for danger.
I always gravitate toward the explanation that will require me do the least work or worrying.
Well, yes. No, here's the thing. More often than not, we notice the worrying symptom, we get freaked out about it, but then choose not to go to the doctor anyways. That's what the average person tends to do. True. It's well, I guess, if I am dying, I probably shouldn't get it checked out. That's what we tend to do in a lot of cases. I want to talk about this piece from Bloomberg. It's titled Late Payments Rising for Buy Now, Pay Later survey says. First of all, you'll notice that it's a survey that's done and not any actual market data, so we don't know how accurate it is. Second, if I had a dime for every time in the last 3 years I heard that Americans were, getting close to the breaking point on loan bills of, one kind or another, I'd be a very rich man. Because we see these stories published just all the time about record credit card debt levels and auto loans are becoming more problematic. And I'm not saying that these aren't for some people, but what I am saying is it hasn't affected the U.S. economy in any tangible way that we can measure. It has not resulted in any kind of significant uptick in default rates or anything along those lines. And given the fact that American spending remains remarkably consistent, it hasn't even changed spending patterns that much. So, yes, I know that these headlines can be kind of scary. I'm not saying that this isn't this isn't definitively a problem, but what I am saying is, guys, we see headlines like this every couple of weeks, quite honestly, and I just am not buying that there's anything here until we actually see changes in default rates and changes in spending, which have not been present in any way, shape, or form basically since 2020.
Balances do trend up. Credit usage trends up, so you would expect it's always going to be a record high until the recession hits and a lot of people default and try to have their debt wiped out.
Taking a look at markets as we head towards the top of the hour, the S&P remains up about 0.4%. NASDAQ Composite is up over 1% now, but the Dow still down about 0.5% actually. So a divergence between your major indices. Russell 2000 also down. And so tech is leading the way. It's a lot of those big AI names that are kind of chugging ahead. And that is what we're seeing in markets today. Quick break for the next 24 hours. But after that, the good news, we're back tomorrow. You can tune in, and we'll have a great time. See you then.